with narco trafficking organizations, particularly those in Latin America. They have partnered with Chinese professional money launderers.
Is it hard to launder money or is it hard to launder a lot of money?
It's hard to launder a lot of money. It's a cat and mouse game. Sometimes it feels like we're playing whack-a-mole with these criminals.
What kind of criminals are usually doing this?
There are specialized money launderers out there who only engage in money laundering. And then there are also criminal organizations who commit the crime and also do the laundering. So, it really depends on the kind of crime. So, for example, with narco trafficking organizations, particularly those in Latin America, they have partnered with Chinese professional money launderers. And those Chinese professional money launderers, who are often based in North America, where the money is being generated, and in Europe as well, they specialize just in money laundering. That is their role. Whereas with other types of organized crime, whether it's Nigerian groups or Chinese organized crime in Southeast Asia, which is behind a lot of the scams, investment scams and whatnot, they will often handle that money laundering function themselves.
What strikes me about some of these scams is that they seem to be so the long game. And I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have necessarily thought that scam artists would be in the long game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Now, you asked a question earlier about who are these different groups. So I mentioned ransomware groups, okay? But again, that field is getting splintered where you have folks that are putting together the malware, you have the folks that are really good at penetration through social engineering, and they all take their cut, right? And so it could be a teenager in Southern California who might be penetrating some Fortune 500 company through social engineering. It happens. But then in terms of other types of crimes, like, for example, the pig butchering scams, well, it's not exclusively the realm of Chinese organized crime. The cases that we're most familiar with are mostly Chinese organized crime operating out of Southeast Asia, places like Cambodia and Myanmar. But we've also gotten wind that they might also be moving some of their operations to places like Dubai, for instance, and maybe elsewhere. And what's really insidious is that the folks who are being forced to scam these victims are themselves victims. They are often trafficked, thinking that they're going to be working maybe in a call center. And instead, once they get to one of these scams, well, once they often arrive in Thailand, their passports are taken, and then they are driven across the border into Cambodia or Myanmar and forced to work as slaves under threat of horrible punishment, including death, if they don't do it.
I've always wondered, like, when you get one of those phone calls or text messages, like, well, how did this person decide that this was going to be their job to try to rip me off? So, but it's not like that.
Not like that. No, many of them are doing it for their own survival. One that I am particularly horrified by is sextortion. And there have been many suicides of young teenagers, mostly teenage boys, but females are also being sextorted as well, where they are enticed by someone that they meet on social media to share compromising pictures of themselves or compromising video. And then they are threatened and said, I'm going to share this with all of your contacts and your parents and your school teachers and everyone. And this is going to be online forever. And they think that their life is over. It's absolutely horrible. And by the way, if you know somebody, if you know a teenager, you should be talking to them about it. People feel uncomfortable talking about something like sextortion, but we have to talk about it. And there are ways to remove that kind of content. So they need to know that their life isn't over, that that they can extract themselves from this and they don't have to pay the extortionists. Now, the groups that have typically been behind those extortion scams tend to be based in West Africa and not necessarily Nigerian, but a lot of these groups are Nigerian or other countries within West Africa. But we've also learned recently that Chinese organized crime is learning how lucrative this is, and they are adding that to their portfolio of criminal activity. So it's not just pig butchering scams, but also sextortion scams operating out of those scam compounds in Southeast Asia.
Smartest one you ever came across? Like, oh, that was clever.
There was a banker in either Singapore or Hong Kong about a year or so ago who was asked by someone who he thought was with the company to transfer $26 million to another account. We call it business email compromise or redirection fraud, where you think their money is supposed to go to one vendor or location, and somebody tells you, no, we have to switch it to another account. And it's always good to get confirmation that is that really what's supposed to happen? But never, ever call the number that they provide to you. And you should also be careful about email, because maybe their email is compromised as well. So you try to get confirmation from somebody else in the company. And so these fraudsters used AI, deepfake, to pretend, to simulate all of these different high-level people in the company. They said, yeah, I understand you're nervous. So why don't you just come to our next board meeting and we'll explain to you this situation and why this money needs to be transferred. So he gets onto a Zoom call or Microsoft Teams call, and every single participant in that meeting was an AI deepfake.
No.
Yes. So, I mean, with 3 seconds of your voice, I can clone your voice, and I can also use your face and pretend that I am you and have different words coming out of your mouth. I can do it on a Zoom call, and you can convince people. It's amazing. In some of these pig butchering cases, the criminals will get onto either a FaceTime call or a Zoom call and pretend to be somebody else with a different voice. And so that makes it even more real. They think that the person that they're dealing with really, truly is who they say they are.